Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to show you how to do this really easy stitch. It's a great stitch for a blanket, and if you're a beginner and you're looking for an effortless stitch, then this is perfect, especially since it's something different from your treble crochet. And look at this, it's really pretty. Now I've done it in a way that you actually get a ridge on it as well as this lovely little cluster stitch. It's a nice thick stitch, so if you've got a thin yarn, then you'll get away with doing then this is the perfect stitch to make yourself a kind of thicker blanket. It's really soft, this yarn, as well. So I've got my Simply Soft lavender blue, so I'll just pop that up there. So I'm going to start with a slip stitch. You just do your slip stitch whatever way that you want. I just wrap it around my fingers. I push the tail end through that loop and then pull like that. Put it on my hook. The hook I'm using is a 5.5, a 5.5 hook. That's a 5.5. It's a little bit larger, but this is a nice chunky stitch. So this stitch is quite chunky, so that's why I'm using a little bit of a larger hook. So I'm going to do a chain. So you need your stitches in sets of 3 for this little blanket. Now don't do your chain too tight. You don't want your blanket to turn away in like this at the edge. You want a nice loose edge, so don't do your chain too tight. So I've got my chain done. I've done my chain. You do the chain as long as you want it and do it in sets of 3 stitches. We're going to miss the first link in the chain, and into the second link we're going to do a double crochet. If you're in the USA, this is a single crochet. If you're in the UK, it's a double crochet. So put your hook through the stitch and pull your yarn through. Put your yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Now you can see you've got a big space down here. Can you see that big space? What we're going to do is you're going to go straight in to that big space, into that space, and pull a stitch through. Keep it on your hook. You're going to go to the next stitch in your chain, push your hook through and pull a stitch through. So we've got 3 stitches on our hook. You're going to go through the next one and pull that through. So you've now got 4 loops on your hook. Put your yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops and chain 1. When you do that chain 1, that is giving you an extra stitch on your next row. It's making up for the 3 that you've pulled together here. The next one we're going to pull, so we're going to make another stitch. Can you see that big hole that's there? Right where we've pulled all of those together. Right there. Put your hook through that space. Now we're always going to put our hook through that space. Pull your stitch through. So you've made, because you've pulled 4 stitches together, you've made another one with your chain 1, and you're making another one to replace those going into that space. Someone says, how do I keep my stitch count correct when I'm pulling 4 stitches together? But you're making stitches as you go along as well. So we've went through that big hoop and we've got 2 loops on our hook. We're going into the next stitch in the chain and pull through. Leave it on your hook, you've got 3. Through the next stitch in your chain and pull through. So we've got 4 again. When we do the yarn over, we're turning those 4 stitches into 1. So you're going to pull right through, and it's clustering all those stitches together. You're going to chain 1. So in effect, you've made yourself another stitch. So there's your gaping hole again. You'll always have that hole when you do this cluster. We're going to use that to make another stitch. So put your hook through there and pull it through. That's you made another stitch. Into the next stitch in your chain and pull through. You've got 3. The next stitch in the chain, pull your yarn through, you've got 4. Yarn over and come through those 4 loops, and you've made that little cluster again. So yarn over and chain 1, and you're going into that space at the bottom of that cluster again. So into the space, pull your yarn through, into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and into the next stitch, pull your yarn through. Yarn over, pull through the 4 loops and chain 1. And that's what you're getting. It turns your sort of thinnish yarn into a nice thick stitch. So you can use any type of yarn for this. If you've got a thin yarn, it's going to bulk it up and make a beautiful blanket. If you've got a thick yarn, it's going to make a nice big chunky blanket. So I'm at my last stitch. I'm just going to push my hook through my last stitch, pull my yarn through, and I'm just going to do a double crochet, yarn over and pull through that stitch. So you're just going to finish on a double crochet. What I'm going to do now is chain 1 and turn. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So you've done your chain 1, you're going to go into that space and pull a stitch through. Turn your work so you can see the top of your stitches. You're going to pick up the back loop, only the back loop, only that loop there and that loop there. So put your hook through that stitch, pull your yarn through, and do the same with the next stitch. Through the back loop and pull through, and you've got your 4 stitches. Yarn over and pull through those 4 stitches and chain 1. And there's your big space again down in there. So that's that same stitch that we've just done. Go into there, pull your yarn through. Now we're going to take the back loop of the next 2 stitches. So put your hook through that back loop, just 1 loop only, and pull through. And through the next stitch, the back loop of the stitch, and pull through. Yarn over, pull through your 4 stitches or your 4 loops and chain 1. So it creates that nice little ridge line, and I think it's really pretty. So there's your big stitch again there. We're going to go through that stitch, pull a loop through this part. There's your V of your stitches, that's your V's. We're going into this one here, the back loop of the stitch. So into the back loop, pull your yarn through, into the back loop of the next one and pull your yarn through. So you've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the 4 loops and chain 1. And what it's going to do, it's going to put one cluster above the other. Don't worry about that very first one that we did. So it's putting a cluster above the other one. So there's your big loop down in there. So through that loop, pull your yarn through the back loop of the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and the back loop of the next stitch, pull your yarn through, yarn over through the 4 loops and chain 1. Through the space, pull your yarn through, the back loop of the next stitch, pull your yarn through, the back loop of the next stitch, pull your yarn through, and through all 4 loops, chain 1. And that's what you're going to do all the way to the end. Your last stitch will be a double crochet or a single crochet if you're in the USA. You don't go into the big loop this time. Go down into your single crochet stitch that's down here. Just push your hook through, pull your yarn through, and do your double crochet. So chain 1 and turn. You're going through that space that's down here at the bottom of where you did that chain 1, in that first space, and pull a stitch through. So again, we're going through the back loop of the next stitch, pull through, the back loop of the next stitch and pull through, yarn over, through all the loops, chain 1, and you're going to go into that big space that's there again. You can see it clearly. Pull through a stitch, into the back loop of the next stitch and into the back loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through all your loops and chain 1. So just remember that when you get to the ends, your last stitch is just kind of tucked in down there, and you just do that all the way to the end, and you'll do a single crochet into your very last stitch at the end. And that is what you get. You get this beautiful stitch like this, and I love this stitch. It's really simple. If you're sitting watching the TV or just sitting, you can crochet this really well. It's easy to follow as well. Brilliant for a beginner. If you're a beginner and you want something different than doing a treble crochet or a double crochet, try this little cluster stitch. And because we're taking the stitch from the back of the loop, that's what's giving us that nice raised line like that, and it's really pretty. It's really pretty. Look at that. So thank you very much for watching. You can make this as big as you like, by the way. I'm going to zoom down a little bit. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Please just click on that subscribe button there and click on the bell icon. You'll get notified when I post another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.